Roger, roger.
Okay, let's see.
Oh, here we
Okay,
go.
I guess we're up. Hello, you two. Welcome back to our second stream. Joining me tonight is Koopa,
Hi.
Squasher,
Hello, everybody.
and the Swordsman.
Hello, will be your contrarian for the evening.
Indeed, and I will be your host, although I am not the actual creator for this stream. I am merely hosting it. Koopa, since this whole stream was your idea, tell us, what's it about?
Your video on What If was good got me thinking a bit. And I basically put a whole bunch of ideas together. And tonight we're going to talk about what if Marvel Phase 4 was good.
Indeed. I think everyone can kind of agree that Phase 4 of Marvel has been, well, mediocre, to say the least.
Definitely
Mediocre
Rocky,
is
at
putting
least.
it mildly.
Indeed.
I will agree. I will agree to Rocky. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, since I got the PowerPoint, I won't be able to see comments coming in unless... Wait, can I detach that? Or no?
I got you covered. I got my head on the chat.
Okay.
Hi, chat. I shall be your guide.
I will be handling the PowerPoint here. So don't worry, folks. We are not going to be bitching about the MCU the entire time. That's only going to be about 10 minutes or so. Or even that.
Yeah, Charlie. So if you're rewatching this, because I don't think you actually saw my ping on Discord, yeah, I told you so. I told you we can do more than just complain about everything. I told you so. I told you so. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, pal. Let's move on.
Okay. So what I have here is the latest timeline regarding where Marvel's going through. We're still currently in Phase 4. We have basically finished up with WandaVision, Black Widow, Falcon, Loki, Shang-Chi, and What If. And we are starting on Eternals. Upcoming is Spider-Man, Hawkeye, Thor, and Doctor Strange. Everything else is going to be in a future phase, although we will still cover that sometime between now and 2023.
1 second, people.
Frank is that.
What's going on?
It's on my end. I live in the country.
Was that it?
Frank track?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Neat.
Sarge, you really are a cowboy.
Sorry about that.
Okay, so anyhow, let's just kind of start from the top here and make our way forward. WandaVision. Only I and Swords have seen it. Wait, Squasher, have you seen it?
Seen what?
WandaVision.
WandaVision.
No, I haven't, but I do know about it.
Okay, Swords, since you and I have watched it, why don't you give us your opinion about it?
In my opinion, it's the best out of the... Was it 4 shows
Yes.
out right now? I really liked how they went through a dive through, Wanda's trauma, Agatha basically using her to try to release the Darkhold, and basically tricking her to, be a puppet.
Yeah, and I will definitely agree. The heart
Basically.
and soul is Wanda. It's her relationship with Vision. It's her relationship with her kids and everything else that's going on. I personally think WandaVision was an okay show. It had its problems. The first 3 episodes could be kind of a drag. It really wasn't until episode 4 we finally got into the story proper. That being said,
Sorry.
they hinted
Sorry.
at a lot of things. Quicksilver, Mephisto, and all this other stuff, and they just didn't deliver. They didn't do any of that. I know that people are all like, don't give the fans, service or anything like that, but you know what? If it actually does make a good show, do it.
At
Don't...
least we got Agatha, though.
Yeah, and Agatha was pretty fun. So, yeah, it really was kind of the only decent thing out of here, which brings us to Falcon and the freaking Winter Soldier.
May I say something about WandaVision real
Yes,
quick?
you may. Go ahead.
I just found out about the ending from these two guys tonight, and I think it's stupid.
Elaborate.
Well, what did you tell me? What was the ending?
The ending is Wanda breaks free of Agatha's manipulations, beats her, and despite
Yeah. Basically, Scarlet Witch was used as a tool for someone else's evil scheme, and now she can never recover from that. And that's kind of really fucking dark compared to what I had in mind, but let's keep going.
Right.
Okay.
So the next
There's
one
more
is
to it, but let's go.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier. First episode was great. And then everything else happened. We had this explosive, awesome story that really just paints Falcon and the Winter Soldier great. Especially Winter Soldier. You know, Bucky is going through all that trauma. He's friends with the grandfather of one of the people he's killed. And it had this awesome ending where the U.S. agent gets the shield, and then it just goes downhill from there. Its biggest problem is that the villains suck. I'm sorry, I doubt anyone can really take the Flag Smashers all that seriously, especially since they're led by the chick who was Infant's Nest in Solo. It didn't work. I don't think it worked. The drama didn't work. The villains themselves didn't work. The politics involved in it were just incredibly stupid. And it just got really cringy. That's the problem.
The only thing that actually did work with it, even though it did kind of get better near the end, was the U.S. agent.
Yes.
I was fully expecting they would, completely butcher his character and just make him a full-out villain, but they didn't.
Yeah, they make him likable. And the thing is, U.S. agent did nothing wrong. I'll stand by that. He did nothing wrong. We're fighting terrorists who set fire to a building and killed everybody in it, who are superpowered, who are willing to go do whatever measures necessary to enact their insane-ass schemes. And all he did was...
rapists and pedophiles as well. Let's throw that on there.
Yeah, I mean, he executed a terrorist who fled from justice, who just killed his best friend and partner, and, he's basically kind of eliminating the threats. He was a villain. He had to be dealt with. End of story. He set an example.
Hey, Jay Seller, one of your longtime fans, just commented, Joey Barry 121 third channel. Hi, I hope you keep up with your wonderful work you do. I have been reading your stories for a long time, particularly your Star Wars The Force Awakens rewrite.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Continue.
That scene also doesn't really work because they're going off of the logic that Captain America doesn't kill. The problem is...
He fought in World War II.
He fought in World War II.
Kill Hitler.
Well, the thing is, besides World War II, yes, in the comics, Captain America has stopped killing. But in the movies...
Hell no.
I mean, every hero kills in superhero movies. It's to the point where Venom doesn't really stand out for being a slightly darker anti-hero because everyone kills now,
Yeah, I mean...
Aside from the cannibalism part.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is one of the problems I have with the Venom movies. It's taken from Matt Gargan. Was never really a thing with Eddie Brock.
Yeah, so... Yeah. I mean, Captain America himself probably killed God knows how many people when he dropped the helicarriers into the Lincoln... What's that pond that's in Washington, D.C.?
Simple.
Yeah. He dropped the helicarriers into that. Mind you, it had to be done. Hydra was going to murder billions of people, but they used that against him in Civil War. So, yes, Captain America kills. So... Yeah, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, just absolute train wreck. Black Widow and Shang-Chi, I think we can kind of talk about together. I haven't seen it. Have any of you guys seen it?
I have no care to see either of them.
Exactly.
I have seen Shang-Chi completely fully, and I've basically seen the footnotes of Black Widow. Black Widow was a major disappointment.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi, it's a serviceable movie. and it has a lot better Mandarin, just not the Mandarin I wanted. The comic version.
Yeah.
There's nothing really wrong with Shang-Chi. I actually do think it's better than Black Panther. It's just it doesn't really, stand out that much because you don't have those connections with that much with the other MCU titles.
Yeah.
It's just kind of there.
Black Widow and Shang-Chi, they're just in kind of that meh camp of who cares? Nobody cares that these movies exist. If they never existed, nobody would honestly give a damn. In fact, the only good thing out of Black Widow really was Crimson Dynamo. Wait, no, Red Guardian. That's his name. Red Guardian. That's just because he was funny. That's it. And they still made him a joke. Okay, so with that...
At least Hollywood can laugh at themselves.
Yes.
Seinfeld music.
If you do get a chance, though, and it's like on Disney Plus or something randomly, or if it's like out, I do recommend at least seeing Shang-Chi once.
And then never again.
It's just, well, it's not. I do think it's genuinely better than Black Panther. Like, I watched Black Panther multiple times. It's just there, It's like it's a good serviceable movie. It's just not really greater than, the sum of its parts, It's not connected to the MCU that much, really. It just has a better Mandarin than what we got in Iron Man 3.
Yes.
And they turn it into a family story.
Yeah, I have one thing to say. Mandarin is Iron Man's villain. You keep him in the Iron Man family.
The whole point is it's magic versus technology.
Yeah. Which brings us to Loki. Okay, how many of you guys have seen Loki?
I have seen most of Loki.
No interest in Loki.
Okay.
First, to me, Loki was just entirely set up for Kang.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, the best episodes by far were the first two, which is just about Loki discovering what happens to him in the MCU, which is a great scene, even if, maybe him completely changing his character doesn't quite make sense. But Tom Hiddleston does put in the chops. He does great. Gary Owen's great. And really where it starts to fall apart is when we run into Sylvie. Sylvie is just completely unlikable. I don't know if it's just a case of bad direction or she just can't act, but she's like a freaking, barn door, really. All she can do is be snide and smug. That's it. That's all really she can do. And in fact, the best episode after that is, spoiler alert, is when they both get sent to, I don't remember what the realm is called, but basically it's where the TVA take out a timeline and they throw it into this giant battle world looking place that gets eaten by a giant monster and they run into all the other Lokis. That was great. Especially classic Loki. Yeah. He was great. And then they killed him.
You know what it's called? You know what it's called?
What's it called?
It's called The End of Time.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah. Which brings us to Kang. First off, the actor that got to do Kang, great. I like him. Why isn't he blue, though?
Yeah.
Well, that's because Hollywood took the name Kang way too literally. As in, we was.
Oh, God.
I mean, well, the thing is, that's not really something that's unique to Loki. I mean, take a look at Deadpool 2 and take a look at Venom 2. You have these great, actors and actresses, but you don't do the necessary makeup for some reason. Like, I have no problem with Shriek's performance besides them nerfing her. It's just, they don't give her her actual outfit. They don't put on the white makeup with the star. I mean, part of the fun of superhero comic books are the colorful designs. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was a problem with the X-Men movies originally.
Yeah, in fact, I think they made a joke about that in the first movie where he was all like, because Hugh Jackman's complaining about the tightness of the leather outfits they're wearing, and Scott said something on the lines of, "Well, what did you expect? Yellow spandex? I don't know.
Yeah.
X-Men First Class
Maybe.
made it work." So yeah, the biggest problem with Loki is that its world building really starts to screw with the rest of the MCU. You basically have these time cops that go around deleting timelines to prevent deviations in the timeline, even though there are countless instances where this should happen. The Watchers are not mentioned in this at all, and it's
Nope.
revealed that the only reason that this is done is because Kurt Kang wants to kill all the other Kangs because he doesn't want a multi-universal war to happen, when he could just take out the Kangs in each of the timelines and not go through the process of killing all the timelines.
Well, it's not actually that. It's not that he just doesn't want certain kings to exist. There is the king that will exist if he doesn't make the sacred timeline.
Again, just kill all the Kangs. Don't kill the timelines. Just kill the Kangs.
Just kill the Kangs.
We've been taken down for racist hate speech.
What?
Huh? What?
Not,
Kidding, I'm
not,
kidding.
not,
You bastard!
not those Kangs.
You bastard! You had me going there for a second. My heart stopped. I was like, wait, what?
Koopa, king is a name.
So, yeah, Loki should not exist. I'm just going to straight up say it. I love Gary Owen. I love Tom Hiddleston. I love classic Loki. I even like Kang. I even like the guy that got to play Kang. It doesn't justify the show, though. They are better off
To
being
me-
used somewhere
Not only
else.
that, but
Yep.
To me, it's
Not
the
only
second
that,
best
but
out
Loki-
of. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kel. Sorry.
no. Finish what you were gonna say. I want to do mine as the finishing.
Okay.
I want to start and state mine after.
In my opinion,
Go ahead.
Loki is the second best out of the MCU, Disney Plus shows. It's far more enjoyable, at least, than Captain Falcon. I do think it can exist and there would be a point to it. It's just, this is like a second to first draft. They really need to, really think about the continuity before they make this,
Which they just don't really give a damn.
That's. Oh my god. Anyway, with Loki, there's some really bad issues with it for me. The fact that Loki is supposedly the hero of this story, even though they took him from the Battle of New York when he's like very much a villain. And he basically becomes what he does at the end of the MCU, which very stupidly.
Jelly has joined the chat.
Wait. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
It's just, and then he's like, we should not have freed up the timeline.
To give some context
Yeah,
into
that's-
what he's talking about, it's specifically when Sylvie and Loki confront Kang, and Kang's all like, "You kill me, you're going to be unleashing all these other Kangs, and you're going to be starting this multiversal war and everything else." And Sylvie's all like, "I want to kill him," and Loki's all like, "No, we shouldn't kill him because it could be worse if we kill him. It's better to have the dictator than to have the chaos."
I'm just gonna say it. Loki, I actually side with Loki on this. I mean, take a look at What If. And tell me Loki was wrong.
Well, just take a look at real history. I mean, we kill Saddam Hussein, who was an evil bastard who did need to die, but look at Iraq now. Well, basically, just look at the Middle East in general. Yes, these dictators are evil monsters, but they're the only thing keeping even worse monsters from doing all the shenanigans that they do. So, I don't know, maybe Kang does have a point here.
I disagree, and here's why. We're talking about the multiverse. It's super fucking massive. There are going to be universes where Kang doesn't exist.
That's fair.
You mean to tell me that those universes are going to end up in this multiversal war somehow, for some reason? Some universes don't seem like they would fight at all. I'm just saying.
No, that's perfectly fair.
It's
I
not.
mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
the
but
whole
now
point is
now
multiversal war is
we're
just
kind
not
of just
explained
rambling
well.
at this point.
yeah. So let's closing thoughts with Loki. It's an incredibly flawed show that fundamentally potentially breaks the MCU's continuity. Which brings us to What If. If you want my thoughts on What If, go watch my video on it. It's trash. It's just plain and simple trash. And I already rewrote it. And that version of events, that would fit into what we're going to present next.
Yep. Would you like to
What if-
present that now, or should we go over what's coming up down the pipeline first?
Let's go over what's coming up.
All
Can I
right.
get it? What if just a little?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, go right. Go ahead.
What if for me was I was actually really looking forward towards it. The comics have tons of great, stories. Take a look, and in other media, you have like the Spider-Man PS1 game, which used the what if concept to add in cameos and fun details to the story. So I was really looking forward to this, and out of all the shows in the MCU that they did right now, this was the most disappointing.
Yeah, as I said in my video, it is nothing more than race swapping and gender swapping characters for the sheer sake of it, utter contrivances and plot holes in every single one of the stories, and just the sheer sense of pointlessness that makes you question who the hell came up with most of these damn stories. So, yeah, and then there's Eternals, which nobody gives a damn about. I'm sorry, you can push that crap all you want. Nobody cares. No one.
A gay guy bombed Hiroshima. The end.
I mean,
I
the
didn't-
Eternals.
I didn't
and the-
know it existed.
Well, the thing is, the Eternals are even more D-list than the Inhumans, if you remember them.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Oh
The
god, the
Inhumans.
Inhumans.
I only know the
Knockoff
Inhumans because I
X-Men.
watched the. I only know about the Inhumans because of the old Marvel shows, which were hit and miss.
Yeah.
Daredevil was the best one.
Yes.
Hawkeye.
Let's move on to crap.
Okay, just I'll quickly sum up these guys. Hawkeye, no one really gives a damn about. It looks stupid.
No.
Thor just looks like it's gonna be dumb. Don't really
Yeah.
know anything about Doctor Strange. Spider-Man
Not yet.
3.
Blah.
It could be good. It could be bad. It really just depends. So
Yeah, we're gonna have to see.
let's move on to our timeline. Give me a second here. There we go. What the hell? Oh, there it is. Oh, that's okay. That's what this is. All right, so I think we all watched the Batman trailer, the Peacemaker trailer, Black Adam, all that
Well,
stuff. DC looks
We'll
like
be
it's
brief about this.
yeah,
The DCEU, it's the surprise none of us expected.
yeah,
All this looks like DC is turning their shit around. And I'm
potentially,
actually
yeah,
pleasantly surprised by a lot of it. I love the fucking Twilight vampire guy, Robert Pattinson, the Batman. It looks like the first Batman I ever seen. I was surprisingly into the John Sheena fucking Peacemaker series. And oh my god, I didn't even see all that much about Shazam 2, but I know it's going to be good. But holy crap, that Black Adam trailer. Oh my god, I'm so hyped.
I mean, if Shazam 2 is as any good as Shazam 1, it's really going to turn things around.
yeah.
They got a good plot set up for it, too. This evil sorceress goddess person tries to take over the world, and the Marvel family has to stop her. And apparently the wizard Shazam isn't really dead.
Yeah, so it's all gonna be pretty good.
Of course not. He gave Billy his power.
And then you have Peacemaker, who has a freaking bald eagle as a pet.
And it's called Tim.
It's great. And then we have Gotham Knights, which really seems to be the only decent-looking video game that's coming out of DC. Don't really know too much about it other than the Court of Owls are the bad guys and the Bat family's got to stop them. So, could be good, could be bad. But
it may or may not be going after the ending of Arkham, the Arkham games where Batman, quote unquote, dies.
I think the most important thing of all, Young Justice is back.
I don't know, Koopa. I didn't really like Young Justice Season 3.
That makes me sad.
They just threw in a whole lot of woke shit in there that didn't need to be there.
Alright, I'll give you that, but fucking Young Justice never got its finale, and I hate when good cartoons don't get their finales.
I'd rather it not have a finale than have a crappy third season.
Had a really good adaptation of Blue Beetle, though.
Yeah. And they had a really good Captain Marvel.
The real Captain Marvel.
Yeah. Pretend that we're also rewriting the DCEU, and I'm rewriting it that he was always called Captain Marvel forever.
Because that's
my only change.
Why would you call yourself off of the? Why would you call yourself off of the word that gives you your powers, but also simultaneously would turn you back into a helpless boy?
Well, the thing is, that's more due to rules lawyers. It wasn't really a good idea to name your superhero after one of your main competitors. Let's just be honest there.
No swords. Back then, Marvel wasn't called Marvel. It was called Timely Comics. They changed the name to Marvel and made their own Captain Marvel to spite DC for buying Fawcett Comics. They wanted to buy that publication.
Captain Marvel in Marvel. Wow. I don't know what to think about that. That actually would be kind of interesting.
Better than the Captain Marvel they have now. Better than the Captain Marvel they had before. Marvel is overrated. I do not like him. He is a cheap Superman knockoff.
Oh, man.
Who's the Razor Fist now?
Hey, at least Monica Rambeau was really good. You have to at least give that.
The only person who took the title of Captain Marvel I actually like. Monica is a joy. And she's not a cheap Superman knockoff. She actually has unique powers.
Yeah.
Plus she was great in Next Wave.
Alright, so, I mean, there are some red flags here, obviously, with all these. But compared to what's going on with Marvel, DCEU could actually pull it out and do some really amazing stuff with what they've got. So
I forgot when we were making this. The thing we forgot. The Flash movie. They're doing Flashpoint. They might actually be rebooting it.
Oh yeah, Michael Keaton.
No more Snapper Man and crazy hobo in a bat suit.
And Michael Keaton Batman's in it. Who either is playing as Michael Keaton Batman, which would be amazing, or he's playing as Thomas Wayne from the Flashpoint series.
That would be good.
And you know what? It works either way, because Michael Keaton Batman kills with extreme prejudice. This is a man who will take dynamite, shove it in your pants, and then throw you down into a bottomless chasm.
Which is why he will never be Batman in my eyes.
I'm less enthused, but that's because the comics Flashpoint basically rebooted the the DEU.
I can see that. I can see your problem with that. But the thing about Flashpoint is once you take it away from all the fucking reboot shit, it was an actually good storyline.
It was. You want to actually make your superheroes villains? That's probably the way to do it.
I'm sorry, I just missed the original Jaime Blue Beetle run.
I think we all feel you there, man.
We all feel you, man. But
New 52 was just a train wreck. We can all agree. Everybody can agree.
Rebirth was a half-ass, and I don't know if they have it back to post-crisis yet, but time will tell.
So with that, let's get into the timeline that Koopa set up for us. That's right. Fantastic Four, X-Men, Doctor Doom, they're all in this from the get-go. Punisher's back, Daredevil's back, Heroes for Hire. We'll talk about that later. So the goal here is to basically make the Marvel Cinematic Universe less about the Avengers and start to focus on the other big teams. So, the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, and generally start setting those guys up. The Avengers are still here, don't get me wrong, they're still here, but this is no longer necessarily their story. Their story got finished in Endgame. This is a post-Avengers world, and who comes after that. So,
which I really like the idea of.
Go ahead.
For clarification to the audience, I haven't really seen most of this. I was basically brought on since I actually like the MCU.
Oh,
comment on it.
He's here to be the one who is wrong.
Well, here's the thing, Swords. We like the MCU. In fact, most of you guys, you already were into comics before the MCU. The MCU is what got me into the deeper dive of Marvel. Really, the only comics I was interested in was basically Punisher. That was it. Punisher, Conan the Barbarian, and sort of that other sort of esoteric stuff. I wasn't really all that much into the larger Marvel universe. The MCU is what got me into it. And to see it kind of go down the route it is just kind of depressing. So this isn't a hate message against the MCU. This is how you could salvage it. Take it into a new era and basically prove Razor wrong.
Yeah.
If you guys...
I also wanted just to say that because...
I'm more here for the ride.
Yeah. I just wanted to clarify that since I barely know your plans for it. If I was involved, we would have more Venom.
Yeah. What I did was I didn't touch the Sony stuff because I was unsure, aside from the one Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
Like, pretend Michael Morbius and Venom 2 are in here somewhere. Whatever.
Yeah, but
I wouldn't know what to do with them, to be honest.
The situation...
The idea...
Sorry, go ahead.
Do you want to do it? Okay. The idea is, instead of doing the multiverse for Spider-Man 3, in regards to Venom, we're going to take that. I asked, and Koopa agreed to it. We're going to take that one line from Ant-Man, because while it is a nice setup for Spider-Man, it doesn't really make sense for Spider-Man, because Spider-Man does not live in San Francisco. And allow that to be the opening for Venom 1 taking place shortly before Ant-Man.
That works.
Really likes Venom and will do anything to have him in every cinematic universe. He's already thinking of a way to put him in the DC universe.
Well,
in
Star Wars, it should be simple. He's on Earth in some random other galaxy.
Would you really not want to see Maximum Carnage on the big screen?
Yeah, but I'd like to see Venom with the spider logo on his chest, and he needs to be on Peter's chest to get that logo.
Yep, which is why them existing in the same continuity is far easier to do than, just ripping him off of his universe to have him appear in Spider-Man 3, I'm guessing.
I'm guessing so. Alright, so, Koopa, I believe the first one to come up is Fantastic Four.
So, to be clear to everyone, I had the idea for a lot of these plots for a while. And I'm probably going to talk over myself a little. But you are really going to enjoy it. I am not as verbose as Jay Seller is when he's scripting videos. And this is totally unscripted. And I'm also buying time so the stream can catch up so I can see what everyone else is seeing. There we are. Fantastic Four. So, right after Avengers Endgame, the world is reeling after the loss of Tony Stark, Iron Man. However, there are new faces coming to the rise. Oscorp is one of them. A whole bunch of new tech giants, and appearing on in the headlines is a up and coming young entrepreneur by the name of Reed Richards,
This
who
guy
has
here.
just got married, and he declares that he's going to be the first scientist to propel himself to space with his new intern, Kurt. So basically, the plot of this is basically the origin story of the Fantastic Four. Reed and Sue are already married. Living with them is their Reed's brother-in-law, Sue's brother, Johnny, who is basically still in college and is basically crashing on their couch. And Reed's longtime friend and best bro, Ben Grimm. See,
No,
the
I
four
have
of
a
them plan to go to space to do some radiation experiments.
I have a question for you, Koopa.
Yeah.
Since Ben Grimm in the comics was an ace pilot, are you going to have his credentials like tied to maybe Shield or something?
No, I'm not going to have his credentials, but he will still be an ace pilot. Their intern, Kurt, is basically there from Shield. And I call him Kurt for a good reason. Because it's going to be revealed in the movie. The first act, it's going to be them in space, and things are starting to go wrong. Everyone's blaming each other. Meanwhile, this Kurt guy seems to be really, really sneaky. Kurt is Clerk, the Super Skrull. And he gets his powers the same way that the Fantastic Four get theirs, through the same radiation storm. Since he's basically transforming into all of the others to sabotage the mission on behalf of some unknown fucking benefactor. His race, the Skrulls. Thanks, Carol.
You can't trust
And
the scrolls.
You may notice
So we're not
something
going
missing.
yeah.
A certain Victor Von Doom. He's nowhere to be seen in this movie. See, the problem with all of the Fantastic Four movies is they introduce Doctor Doom way too fast, while Reed Richards is an important part of Doctor Doom's origin, and Doctor Doom is the villain of the Fantastic Four. Yeah, he isn't first movie material, and he actually shows up really later on. The movies never did this right, so we're going to do this right. Doctor Doom is going to be introduced separately.
So because
Well,
of that,
I mean, the main problem. Sorry.
no,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, the main problem is you have four, very like high in personality characters, and then you add Doom. You can't really successfully establish all five of them and really make it work.
Works
In one
because
movie.
because Super Skrull has never been that important outside of the fact that he's a Super Skrull. He's a Skrull.
Yeah.
So you can establish the charisma and personality of all four of the Fantastic Four without sacrificing anybody, and still have a very compelling villain who isn't Mole Man, who isn't the Underminer, who just randomly shows up at the end to rob a bank and steal peace and happiness.
Yeah, thanks a lot there for reminding me about a
the
movie
Day of
that
the
should not
Underminer
exist.
They retcon the Day of the Underminer and it pisses me off. That was
Nope.
a good game.
Don't worry, folks. One of these days, I will cover why Incredibles 2 is stupid and what it should have been. And I think you will like it. So Super Skrull is our...
on Incredibles too.
So Super Skrull will be our main villain. I have this image down here because these are some very popular fan casting people have been doing. John Kerensky as Reed Richards. You may know him as Jack Ryan from the Amazon series. He was very good in that. That series.
His hair a little, and he's good.
Yeah, this is Emily Blunt. She'll be playing as Invisible Woman. She's a great actress. And I believe this is Zac Efron as Johnny Storm. And yeah, he's
not my choice, but he's He's got the charisma.
I don't really know who you would get to play as the Thing. Anybody got any ideas?
It'd have to be someone with a really thick Jewish accent.
What about the guy that played the Thing in the original Fantastic Four
Oh
movie?
yeah, he was great. He was the best part of those.
Yeah, we could bring him back.
I think he was. I mean, he was perfect as the Thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Koopa, where will the
Whenever you
Fantastic
say the Thing,
Four?
I'm thinking of John Carpenter's monster.
So
Let's not
Koopa,
talk over each other, please. We're in front of an audience.
so Koopa, where would the Fantastic Four end up by the end of this movie?
Well, basically, they come back to Earth, they save the day from Super Skrull, and they establish themselves as public superheroes working out of the Baxter Building in New York City. A building with a big number 4 on it.
All
Now,
right.
is this building a repurposed Stark Tower?
No. That's Oscorp. And also that's
Bastards.
spoilers for later in the stream.
Okay.
So with that brings us to the next part of our lineup. The X-Men. All right. All right. So Koopa,
Now,
since
let me-
this is your kind of your brainchild, explain this for us.
This is my favorite one, but it's going to take the longest to explain. So, mutants are starting to appear ever since the second snap. And it's starting to become a problem. And in the background, we have movements for and against mutants. And heading the pro-mutant movement is a man by the name of Charles Xavier. You see, for a while, Charles has been studying what he calls the X gene for a while. Some that lies dormant for the most part in all humans until the leftover energy of the Infinity Stones seems to have awakened a lot of dormant X genes at once, creating a lot of superpowered individuals. Charles is a former special forces operator, probably former SHIELD, and he also had the X gene, but his was naturally awakened. However, it was very, very faintly awakened. He was always a telepath. However, it wasn't until a certain incident which his great psychic powers came straight to the forefront, where he became the world's most powerful psychic. On one of his operations in S.H.I.E.L.D., he was tasked with basically shutting down what was a undercover Hydra operation to experiment with basically Infinity Stone energy to create superhumans. And in doing so, he actually was saved. His life was saved by one of the people they were experimenting on, a man by the name of Eric. What was his last name?
Lensher.
Starts with an L.
Eric Schemmel, a Polish.
Eric, hold on.
A young Polish man who was actually a survivor of the death camps in World War II when he was very young. The incident basically, Eric saved Charles' life, and from that day on, the two were bros. However, in the aftermath, Charles lost the use of his legs. However, the infinity energy that exploded when they were evacuating the base entered into some of his body and some of Charles' body, awakening their powers. So ever since then, Eric has been able to control magnetic energies, and Charles had his telekinetic powers turned up to 11. He devoted his life after this to study what exactly they were up to and what exactly happened to him and Eric, which is how he discovered the X gene. And he started publishing his theses on this. Most people at the time considered him a quack, but Eric always stood by his side. Until the snap happened, in which case Eric was one of the victims. they had basically been on a Christmas card relationship for a little while since Eric was off doing his own thing. But after the snap, all these mutants are showing up. Charles Xavier is basically vindicated by history, and he starts to what he proposes they do is they form a school for young people whose powers are just being awakened to have a place to train to use their powers for good. The Charles Xavier Institute for what was it called?
Gifted youngsters.
Gifted youngsters. And joining him is Scott Summers, a former U.S. Marine. Yes, he's a Marine in this timeline, who also had very mild mutant powers that were turned up to 11, and a few others, basically from all around the world, even one from Wakanda, Storm, to help in this mission. And over the course of a few months, everything's going well. Shield is actually on board. There are some adult mutants who come together and decide, you know what, Charles Xavier basically saved us from a world where we'd be basically either recruited by the government by force or shunned outright. We basically owe it to him, and they formed the X-Men. Sort of like Dumbledore's army in the Harry Potter movies, except Charles actually goes along with it. They called themselves the X-Men, X for Xavier, just to pay him back for all he's done for them.
And as you may notice, James McAvoy and what was his name? Who was the guy who played Magneto?
Michael Fassbender.
Michael Fassbender, thank you. Both of them did an excellent job with their roles, and I think we should just carry them on over. And as Koopa has explained, we have developed ways for them to still exist and be the age that they are. By the way, Koopa, Lencher here, Eric Lencher, Magneto, he is still the father of Wanda and Pietro, correct?
Yes. He basically, when he was all out exploring the world while Charles was basically doing his studies, he met a woman and they had children, and that's where he was the entire time until tragedy struck, which he returned to Charles because of that, and he was basically, that's how S.H.I.E.L.D. knew about where Pietro and Wanda were, because he was the one who tipped them off. Hydra is back. We need to stop them. And now, the plot really kicks off when apparently not everyone has the best intentions for mutants with superpowers. There's actually one guy, a former Hydra agent, probably also a former concentration camp doctor, who now only goes by the name of Mr. Sinister. And he's forming basically a criminal syndicate of supers now with awakened X genes called the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. And Magneto basically shows up out of nowhere one day after being basically silent the entire 5 years of the snap, with a strange blue woman at his side, and he's coming to Xavier to beg his old friend for help dealing with this man who is basically just going to smear us all as evil monsters. Through the course of the movie, Magneto, it's clear that in this time he's seen basically the kind of discrimination against anyone with superpowers and anyone who's different, and he's slowly becoming radicalized. But through the course of the movie, he thinks that Charles isn't doing enough to help mutants or to stop the legislation that's coming against them, because agents in the government will strike, or like with our good friend Thunderbolt Ross, who would also be very much anti-mutant. Magneto doesn't think he's doing enough, and he's starting to sort of sympathize with Sinister, but since Sinister is a Nazi, he still wants to get rid of him. So by the end of the movie, it's basically split up. The first end credits is going to be Magneto and Mystique taking over what Mr. Sinister's Brotherhood of Evil Mutants was, but they keep the Evil Mutants name purely to spite Thunderbolt Ross and Will Stryker, who think all mutants are evil.
Yeah. What was his name? Sebastian Shaw, I think. Yeah, the main villain of X-Men First Class, most of his story was not pulled from the Shaw of the comics. It was pulled from Mr. Sinister. Mr. Sinister was a doctor at a concentration camp. He has a lot of the same ambitions that Shaw did in the movie. And a lot of his abilities also came from Mr. Sinister, except for the energy absorption. That came from... it wasn't Cable, it was Bishop. That's it. It came from Bishop. So, yeah, we're just going to actually probably do Mr. Sinister in this version.
Yep.
A quick question. Does Mr. Sinister still, in the background, is working for Apocalypse? And also, is he still obsessed with Scott and Jean Summers?
He probably will become obsessed with them. If he's not working with Apocalypse now, he will in the future. He's not going to be killed off. However, he's going to be completely disgraced and kicked out by his own Brotherhood and defeated by the X-Men and locked up forever.
Yeah, because...
sorry.
Calls himself Mr. Sinister. He's asking to be kicked out.
Yeah, here's a fundamental problem Marvel continues to do. They kill off their villains. Stop killing off your villains. Your villains are what drive interesting stories. And you have to keep coming up with new ones. So, don't kill Mr. Sinister off. We use him later.
Yeah. He is actually one of the 4 horsemen of Apocalypse.
I mean, you can even use that as a plot point. Xavier, unlike the other superheroes, intentionally tells his X-Men not to kill.
Mm-hmm.
To stay on, humans' good side.
Yep. And Magneto thinks that is not going to help, and some people need to be put down. The whole reason the whole rift happens and why he becomes the head of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants is he wants to kill Mr. Sinister. Mr. Sinister was a man who experimented on him at the Hydra plant, but he was also the man who sent his parents to the gas chambers. He needs to die in Magneto's eyes.
I'm going to move the coin. Eins, zwei, drei. Squasher, you were saying?
Isn't the X-Men don't kill? Isn't that already like a thing in the comics?
It is in the
like
comics.
It is in the comics mostly.
But in the comics, hardly anyone kills except for Frank.
It's just that in movies, like we said before, movie heroes always kill their villains.
And that's stupid.
Yeah.
I do like the lineup here. I mean, it's very faithful to the original lineup with basically just 2 additions.
Yeah, you may notice that Wolverine is not here. We'll cover him later, but he was not an original member of the he's not an original member of the X-Men, and having him there honestly distracts far too much from Scott Summer. We need to establish him first before we bring in Wolverine.
And when do we bring in Wolverine? You mentioned I said the first credit scene. The second credit scene, Professor X is talking to someone who is another natural mutant. And he asks him to join his team for help. And you see him light a cigar. And the camera pans around. Wolverine sitting there on the table, complete in costume, smoking his cigar. And he's like, "You know what, bub? I think you found your man."
All right. All right.
That'd be a good one. That'd be a good way to end it.
Yes. All right. So does that wrap up the X-Men? Do we have any last points about this?
Anyone?
In the sequel, will we see Nightcrawler?
Probably.
Yes. Nightcrawler is awesome. And he totally needs to have a rivalry with Angel because Angel and the Demon.
Yep.
Mr. I kick ass for the law. That is Nightcrawler, right?
Yes,
I hope I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
you are
Okay.
right, and he also wields swords,
Yeah, go watch.
which makes him cooler.
Go watch Ultimate Alliance's Ultimate Alliance 1 cinematics. The one with Nightcrawler just proves why he is awesome.
It is a shame you have to pay money to get him. That
Yeah. All
I
right.
guess the only final thing we need to ask is, you will not butcher Scott Summers and his wife, right?
No.
no, I am not. I am not. What's his name? Hickman, who's currently writing X-Men and turning them into villains. No, I do
Well,
not trust the plan. Go away.
I was more referring to the original team who cared far more about Wolverine.
Yeah.
That did the X-Men movies.
Yeah, I'm going to be perfectly blunt here. We need to keep... I forget what the director of that movie, of most of the X-Men movies was. Keep him away from this project. Go get Michael Vaughn. Michael Vaughn was the guy who did...
Pretty sure he's away from every project because he got caught in some underage sex scandal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Michael Vaughn was the guy who did X-Men First Class and was one of the executive producers for X-Men... the one that came after First Class. The one with the
Days of
Sentinels.
Future Past?
Days of Future Past, that's it. That's why that movie turned out good, and that's why Apocalypse afterwards was mediocre. Michael Vaughn was not involved in that one. Michael Vaughn loves his comics. Get him to do the X-Men. It will be great. Alright.
Yes.
Are we ready to move on to the next one?
Oh, the next one's gonna be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Doctor Doom.
So remember when I said we're doing Doctor Doom separate? This is Marvel's answer to the Joker, and it's completely canon. This is the origin story of Dr. Victor Von Doom, the ruler of Latveria, the man, the myth, the legend. He's going to start from his childhood as a young boy in Latveria, raised by gypsies, constantly on the run from the forces of the Baron, how he lost his mother to the devil, and how he yearns to save her soul no matter what the cost.
The main
Wait, are
villain...
you actually having the real devil in this? Because Mephisto is not the devil. He's actually just a powerful demon.
He's Mephisto.
The
Okay.
devil will be shown later, but for now, we have Mephisto, and yes, that is Evan Peters, who played Quicksilver, because everyone wanted this. They wanted him to be Mephisto, so that's what we're going to do. He's going to be Mephisto, and he can certainly pull it off. And you may notice, I have Jamie Lannister. I cannot pronounce his name, I won't bother to. Is Jamie Lannister. He's a popular choice to play as Victor Von Doom. If you guys have seen Game of Thrones, you know he's a good actor. And, coincidentally, if you guys have seen Black Hawk Down, he was one of the Delta snipers who went down to try and save Michael Durant and got shot in the head. So, it seems like up-and-coming actors always get their footing in war movies.
Mm-hmm.
Is it safe to assume that both Reed and The Thing will have a cameo in the movie?
Well, and basically what's going to happen is one of his experiments to save his mother from hell goes horribly wrong. Reed tries to warn Doom against him, and Doom just throws him out. And because of that, his face is permanently disfigured. As in, he has a very, very small scar, because Doom is vain.
Yeah, you can see why I picked Jamie Lannister.
Well, in the comics, he was actually actively really disfigured.
No, he's gonna be fully disfigured, but that's after he puts a hot fucking iron mask on his face while it hasn't even cooled yet.
I love Doctor Doom. I love Doctor Doom. He is by far my favorite Marvel villain, but he is a little ridiculous.
I mean, that is totally something he would do. Even the comic Doom would do.
I think that is what the comic Doom did.
It's what he did, and it's how he's going to team up with Doctor Strange to finally save his mother's soul.
Because he's a good boy and he loves his mama.
and he becomes the tin pot dictator of all Latveria,
Who is actually good at his job, weirdly enough.
which is why the people love him despite him being a total despot.
Basically, Saddam Hussein. If Saddam Hussein was actually competent.
Yep.
Well, this also allows the setup. Doctor Doom would make a really good, like, villain behind the scenes.
Oh, he is. See, if I kept going with this, and he would eventually be the final villain of all of it in Secret Wars, where he would take over fucking what was it called?
World.
Battle World, and he's the final boss of all of the MCU.
Basically, Ultimate Alliance. Because Doctor Doom is that awesome. He is the man who inspired Darth Vader.
Yes.
That would be really interesting, considering the MCU has a lot of characters that existed past, Secret Wars that didn't exist yet. So that'll be very interesting.
Indeed. So, end of the movie, he's rescued his mother's soul, he has defeated Mephisto, though Mephisto is not dead. He's just been
Baron
scorned.
is overthrown, and he is crowned king.
And, yeah, Doctor Doom has been introduced, and... Oh, it's going to be fun to see where he goes next. Alright, gentlemen, are we ready for the next one?
Roger, Roger.
Yep.
Yes.
Spider-Man Far From Home. Okay, you might be confused. Doesn't this movie already exist? Yes, and we can all agree it was mediocre. There are elements in it that worked, and there were elements that didn't work. This is our attempt to fix that.
Well, I thought it was better than the first one. I think Homecoming was actually worse than Far From Home.
I'm of the
You
opposite.
don't have a very high opinion about Homecoming, do you?
I mean, how can the villains were great in Homecoming, but the problem was Michelle was completely unlikable. She was a bully through and through, and they expected you to think she was a good character. In Far From Home, they actually fixed that to where she's not an annoying jerk.
You came up with a plan for that, but wait and see, guys. You're gonna love what I have in mind, especially Shelley, who is a good kitty.
Alright, Koopa, start us off. What's going on here?
So basically, Far From Home takes place a fair bit after Endgame. Peter's all grown up now and he's going to college. He's basically been accepted to NYU and he's got a science scholarship. Aunt May couldn't be prouder. And she basically sees him off because he's going to be living on campus to help get there easier. And Aunt May is basically going to take care of things behind the scenes and everything. In doing so, he meets his new roommate, a boy by the name of Harry Osborn.
Played by Mitchell Hope, this gentleman over here. He was a...
Who is the son...
Sorry, go ahead.
Who is the son of multi-billionaire and the man who's basically made it his mission to fill Tony Stark's shoes, Norman Osborn.
Played by Willem
founder of
Dafoe.
Oscorp.
Yes, we are bringing back Willem Dafoe because that man was amazing.
Yep.
Do you know how much I sacrificed?
And it turns out Aunt May tells Peter about a girl who's the granddaughter or niece of one of the ladies from her canasta group who was also going to NYU to hang out with, and that is Mary Jane Watson.
Played by Abigail Cohen, yet another popular choice to play Mary Jane.
Who Harry and Mary Jane they basically just broke up, but they're still kind of amicable, and Harry kind of wants to get things back together, but Mary Jane shoots him down, and when Aunt May sets Peter up on a blind date, it kind of gets on Harry's nerves, but she basically tells him to get over it, and he kind of does because he kind of likes Peter.
Yes, you may notice that Michelle and Peter are not together in this. That is because Zendaya is not a good actress. She's basically
Nope.
an activist, and the character Michelle is an inferior copy of MJ. Get over yourselves,
Well, even-
folks.
Well,
Basic
even
Tiger,
Kevin,
you hit the jackpot.
well, the thing is, even Kevin said that Michelle was not Mary Jane.
Yes, but she still has the initials of MJ, which is very clearly
Yeah.
meant to be a reference to Mary Jane Watson. Screw you! You are not race swapping this redhead.
We have all of that. We have Peter getting an internship at a podcast known as the Daily Bugle. You may not know this, but we're also setting up a villain in the background. See, during the time skip, there was people were really depressed, but there was a huge surge in action movies and cinematic spectacles, and a lot of the technology made for movies was made by one man, Quentin Beck, the special effects genius and the kung fu action hero of this era of the snap.
And yes, he is played by Bruce Campbell, who, believe it or not, was going to be Sam Raimi's choice for when he did Mysterio. So, that's right, we're bringing him back.
However, after everyone came back, the world is celebrating, but there's also grieving Tony Stark. And after saving the world for Thanos, people are, for the most part, except for people in the government, because Thaddeus Ross is an asshole, are starting to really adore superheroes. And no matter how much Quentin Beck tries, he can't get a role as a superhero. And he actually tries to write his own movie, but the producers basically threw it out and laughed in his face. So he says, all right, you know what? If you want a superhero story, I'll give you a superhero story. And the whole thing is he steals tech from Oscorp, incorporates it into his special effects in his suits, and tries to basically do a syndrome. The whole Elementals plot is part of his rejected kung fu movie script that the producers laughed in his face about. And he's basically using smoke and mirrors the whole time. And drones.
So basically, in regards to the battles, it will still be Spider-Man: Far From Home, but just with Bruce Campbell, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and if there's time in the movie, there will also be one actual criminal in the mix as well. Brock Lesnar as the Rhino.
That's gonna be fun.
So I am kind of curious because I do think the guy did a good job. Did you do Bruce just as a shout out to Sam Raimi's
Yes.
trilogy?
Yes, because everyone wants to see that. Everyone,
Okay.
even if you don't want to see that, you want to see that.
And this will be a nice
Bruce
play
Campbell's
on.
also
This will also be
fun.
kind of a nice play on Mr. Campbell himself because he's a great actor, but he's kind of typecast a bit as Ash. In fact, we'll have a bit of a scene where people will basically straight up say that to him, but he bullshits his way into Oscorp, demonstrating he's a great actor. It's just he's not given the opportunities that he should be.
Now with Norman Osborn, how are you going to do him? Are you going to go the other media route where Norman is the Jekyll, or are you going to do the comics route where both, personalities are straight up evil?
We're not exploring that quite yet. He's going to be set up
So he
as
doesn't
Norman
make a-
Osborn, but from there, it's going to be a complete mystery. Sort of. We'll get into that later.
Well, let me rephrase my question. Is Norman Osborn evil? Just Norman. Like, is he evil
No,
or is he Jekyll?
We don't know yet.
Okay.
As far as we know, when we're seeing him in the movie, he's kind of a nice guy. A bit hard on his son, bit of a workaholic, but doesn't really seem all that evil. But when we do eventually get to know him, that could change. Squasher, you were saying?
I mean, we can figure that out after this. For all we know, we could only see him like a few times in this movie. We don't have to explore him right now.
Yeah.
This
He's not
is
even the main villains of this movie.
Yeah, this is set up for him, and what we're doing is we're setting up this company, Oscorp, because that thing is going to keep showing up a lot. It's going to try and supplant Stark Industries.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so with that, I think we can move on to the next one.
I just have one more note.
Okay.
With this setup you have, it makes me even sadder that Vulture came first. Because if you could have Mysterio be the first villain for Homecoming and Vulture here, that would work so well.
It would.
If you know it.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, one last thing.
Because he isn't Vulture very.
Sorry, go ahead.
Isn't Vulture like tied to Oscorp?
Yep.
His,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought so.
Nothing's perfect. Which does bring me to what the end credit scene would be. It's Bruce Campbell put in jail, and he does meet Vulture. Michael Keaton's in this. He's still alive. And as are the slowly growing members of the Sinister Six. So we will see those guys eventually. Not in the next movie, not even the movie after. We're going to set those guys up one by one.
I guess we do need to clarify one thing, since it was the big thing from Far From Home. Is Peter's identity outed at the end of the movie?
No.
No, hell no. No, 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 no. I refuse. No. No. No.
That is one of the dumbest parts of the movie. The fact that he literally exposed who he was to Beck. It's like, I don't care if he knows Nick Fury. You don't meet anybody until you get to know them first, you know?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's actually, in my opinion, it's actually really brilliant because it sets up a scenario where Peter will be forced to grow up and stand on his own. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but it also sets up the scenario where since you already skipped, Venom being in his anti-hero 90s anti-hero stage, that allows you to have your Spider-Man versus Venom fight without basically butchering the character just to do the 80s again.
Yeah, basically.
Pretty much.
And with that, I think we can wrap that up, and let's move on to the next one. Which brings us to Thor Stormbreaker. Look, let's be honest here. While we don't know a great deal about Thor, Love and Thunder, we can already tell it's going to be crap.
Yes.
Natalie Portman's going to be Lady Thor. Beta Ray Bill's confirmed to be a bad guy. It's just... No. Beta Ray Bill is a bro. He has always been a bro to Thor, and this is going to be based off of a really good Thor comic by the name of Stormbreaker. Koopa, bring us on in.
Beta Ray Bill. Alright. So Beta Ray Bill is a member of a race whose planet was eaten by Galactus. So the survivors fled their planet to find a new planet. However, when Thor unleashed Surtur on Asgard, sure, it destroyed Surtur and Asgard, but Surtur reformed, and he wasn't satisfied just destroying Asgard, so he's destroying other planets, including the new planet of Beta Ray Bill, who challenges Thor because he sees Thor as a monster who's completely responsible for all of this. And he challenges him for the Stormbreaker hammer. And he wins and gains the powers of Thor. So Thor is basically unworthy now, and he actually, in being unworthy, he realizes the folly of his ways, falls to his knees, and he asks Beta Ray Bill what he can do to redeem himself. And Beta Ray Bill is actually shocked by this. He actually expected Thor to be an immature asshole who didn't understand the consequences of his own actions, but instead he meets basically this king who's been humbled, and it brings tears to his eyes. So they go on a quest together to reforge Mjolnir and fight Surtur together once and for all to save Beta Ray Bill's people, and Lady Sif is there because she is hot.
Yes, we're going to explain where the hell Sif has been all this time. She's going to be back. No, Valkyrie's not going to be the love interest for Thor.
Nope.
And yeah, the actor we got picked for Stormbreaker is the same one that they've got for the movie, for Beta Ray Bill, Mr. Christian Bale, because he is an awesome character and we need somebody who can do Shakespearean. And yes, Clancy Brown played as Surtur, and he is back, and he is going to be completely handing it out as a villain.
Yep. I do have a quick question. I'm assuming how Thor gets into space is the same as the end of Endgame. So, are the Guardians going to be a part of this?
Take place after Guardians 3. Thor will basically split off to do his own thing and reforge the Bifrost.
So he'll be in Guardians 3, I'm guessing, then?
Yeah, but he'll be in there for
That's
a
like
bit,
a-
and then at the end he'll decide to leave and do his own thing.
Yeah.
And yes,
Which makes sense,
Galactus,
but-
he is coming. Winter is
He
coming.
is coming.
Oh no, that's Jay. You have no idea the hordes means that's gonna come from that. That would come from that.
And so yeah, and Beta Ray Bill, by the end of it, he would get his own hammer. Thor would get his. I'm assuming he'd get his hammer back.
Actually, the whole part of the whole quest is to rebuild Mjolnir. So basically, Beta Ray Bill gets to keep Stormbreaker.
All right, so we get Mjolnir back. And
Meow meow.
I think that
Which is a good thing.
yes. And yeah, I think that wraps this up. Let's move on to the next one. Which brings us to Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I will be discussing this majorly. You all heard my problems
Yeah,
with
this is mostly
Falcon.
your baby.
Y'all heard my problems with Falcon. I think you can basically keep the first episode exactly as it is. Because it does make sense. Wilson doesn't want to be Captain America. He gives up the shield. But suddenly, there are superpowered criminals called the Flag Smashers. And yes, for some reason, that the original Flag Smasher looks like Space Ghost.
We might even use that costume at some point. I don't know.
So, because of that, you got the Flag Smashers, who are a lot more like the super terrorist in The Boys than they are the nonsense that we had in the actual show. They're basically...
They're even Chechenians.
Yeah, they're Chechens. They're sort of all these different guys who just want to sort of bring down the world. They hate nationalism. They hate all the countries of the world. They blame them for all the shenanigans that have been going on for the last decade, basically. And to be fair, Sokovia, Civil War, fucking Thanos showing up. Maybe they got some...
To be fair, that's really what the original Flag Smashers were as well. It's just their ideology was not explained well.
Nope.
And they've hit it under one word. We're one world. We all should be together.
No.
The snapshot showed that there should be no borders.
Nope.
Nonsense.
Nope. These guys they're terrorists and they want revenge and they got superpowers. Why? Because Thunderbolt Ross is why. This man is trying to puppeteer everything to smear superheroes and install his own Captain America by the name of John Walker. And John Walker...
And his own Hulk by the name of the Abomination.
Mm-hmm. John Walker will stay exactly as he is. He'll still be played by Kurt Russell's son. He was great in the show. He'll be great here. And we will actually delve far more into Bucky's traumatic past and him trying to make up what he's doing. Baron Zemo is in this because he was also pretty good. And this is basically setting up the Thunderbolts. And we will learn that Ross is the puppet master behind all this, but nobody knows anything about it. And Falcon, well, Steve gave him the Captain America shield. He's going to be Captain America. His costume will not be nearly as stupid, though. And Koopa, you know what he's got to do, since he is a captain, and his name was Falcon.
Falcon Punch. But no, about his costume, it's basically going to be his comics Falcon costume, but with a red, white, and blue motif.
And he has an actual helmet, because having a mask and having nothing to protect your head is really stupid.
And the shield he'll decide that John Walker, look, he may have been an agent for Ross, but he's basically proven himself worthy of the shield, and Falcon prefers his wings anyway, so...
Mm-hmm. So John Walker...
By the end of it, to actually atone for his past, Bucky, he's done what he could, but he's gonna go back to Wakanda and do what he can there.
And we will see him again very soon.
Yes.
So,
it's actually kind of ironic. Ross is trying his hardest to make people hate superheroes, but in the comics universe, they already do. And that's a major plot point.
yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty well summed up. I think we can move on to the next one. And yeah, as you may have noticed, the last several ones have been movies. We are now into TV shows.
Yes.
Which brings us to Scarlet Witch. Koopa, go.
Pretend WandaVision doesn't exist. This is basically, thematically, it's Dante's Inferno. It's a 10-episode miniseries exploring Wanda's over-attachment to Vision. And basically, she gets a letter to come to some place to save Vision from damnation. And she just basically descends further and further into hell, exploring her own past, her own selfishness and sins, that in what she's about to do is wrong. At the end of it, she actually finds the Vision and her brother, both chained up by Mephisto. See, this whole thing was actually a plot by Mephisto. The Vision that's there, that's not the real Vision. However, she keeps on her journey through hell. She keeps running into a strange blonde man who keeps trying to urge her to do the right thing, to let go, to basically not to fall for any of this. And that blonde man is the real Vision. And in this moment, he takes the form of a gold and white Vision. And it tells her, do not be fooled. Mephisto is trying to trick you. That is not me. I am me. You must save your brother and you must leave this place.
And so because of that, we get the original Quicksilver that was killed in Age of Ultron, and he gets to actually really fill out his role because he was pretty fun in it. And then they killed him because Fox owned the rights.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, now Disney owns Fox, so they can bring him back.
Exactly. And yes, Evan Peters, who played the original Quicksilver, he is Mephisto.
Okay.
That's why you're doing that.
Okay, so you're basically swapping off Agatha for Mephisto.
Yes.
The only really thing...
No, because she's not mind controlling anyone. She's actually going into the actual real hell, and she's actually being shown visions and everything.
Well, I was referring to villain wants, Wanda's powers, and basically
he wants Wanda's powers. He wants Quicksilver to be basically another Ghost Rider, and Vision is being sent by God himself to stop this.
And that is exactly why this show would never exist, because there's no way in hell that Disney will ever put the Christian God into their universe.
Well, it doesn't have to be the Christian God because it's Stan Lee.
That's great.
And sometimes it's Jack Kirby.
And sometimes it's both.
One time it was Rob
After
Liefeld, but Deadpool shot him for that.
End of the series, you have Vision go back up to heaven, and he says, "Did I do well?" And then you get Stan Lee do a CGI of Stan Lee. Oh yes, very well. I don't know, something like that.
Back after this as an avatar of God.
And
The thing is, though, I don't really agree that Wanda, like, it would make more sense if this was into WandaVision and she was fully in, doing that to the people of the town. Because beforehand, the description you gave of Wanda doesn't really fit with MCU Wanda. She's not really selfish at all before WandaVision.
She, I'm just gonna say, she literally enslaved an entire town just to get with her hubby.
don't forget
I said
too.
before WandaVision.
Don't forget too, Wanda, and this is something people like to forget. She is the one who inspired Tony to go ahead and make Ultron, and then she mind controlled the Hulk to ravage Johannesburg.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm referring
she
to
did
the
that.
reformed, Wanda who joined Captain America in the Secret Avengers.
The
Who was
point
completely
is,
obsessed with Vision to an unhealthy level.
She really isn't, though. They're just a standard couple.
a couple. Source.
I
Do
mean-
you not remember the sheer rage that Wanda had when she literally tried to tear Thanos to pieces?
I mean, you wouldn't. This is
That's-
Thanos, and they literally killed your significant other.
Yes. Oh, I definitely would do
Oh,
that.
that
But the
could-
thing is, if you had the opportunity to bring back your husband, even if it meant having to go into hell itself, would you not do it?
Well, the thing is, that's not my problem. The problem is the personality going into it. Because I don't see that in MCU Wanda at that point. I will agree, she was like that in WandaVision, but you haven't reached that point. That makes any sense.
The whole idea of hell is that this is basically hell's own way of trying to defeat her will to go on. Maybe she deserves to be here. Maybe we all do.
But in the end, she breaks through, finds
Yeah.
out that her husband is literally an angel, and she gets her brother back. But Mephisto just chuckles happily because, oh, he's not done with this yet. Not yet. Not by a long shot.
Don't deal with the devil, folks.
He'll screw you over.
Alright, I think that wraps up this one. Let's move on to the next slide. War Machine. If you're wondering why exactly I've got Spider-Man Far From Home here, it's because it's going to borrow elements from that movie, specifically Edith. Because
there is no way he gives it to some snot-nosed kid. He's giving it to his bro. He's giving it to Rhodey. He's giving it to the man who covered his ass for years.
And unfortunately, the Mandarin is back. He recruits Justin Hammer to make him some 10-ring assassin, basically Iron Man armor, and they're all out to get Edith.
Edith.
And it is classic technology versus magic. He will be an actual magic user.
See, what happened is when they went to kill the fake Mandarin, they also kidnapped Justin Hammer to basically work as their Baxter Stockman.
This is actually an element I don't like because it's the same problem Shang-Chi had. The Mandarin in the comics, the rings he's using aren't actually magical. They're alien technology. From the same race that, if I remember right, it was Fing Fang Fooms. people.
Yes and no, swords. They are, they aren't, they both are and aren't both in the same issue. It's very inconsistent. In this case, they are.
So they Blue Beetled it then. Were they-
They're magics.
He has got
And he's
10
an old
rings of
Chinese
power.
sorcerer.
Yeah, and like I said before when we were talking about Shang-Chi, Mandarin is an Iron Man villain. If we can't have him fight Iron Man, we can sure as hell have him fight the next best thing, which is War Machine.
Yep.
And as you notice, War Machine upgrades his suit. Because, let's be
He's got
honest...
the 10 rings on loan from Sauron.
And Edith itself has Tony Stark's personality copied into it as an AI. It's basically Cortana Tony.
I'm sorry. I don't like that plot point because I don't like AI Tony in the comics.
Don't worry, he's just there until something later on. Don't worry about it.
Alright, so with that, I think that wraps that up. Let's move on to the next slide. I think I might know what this is. That's right. So, all those problems with Netflix and Disney, we're going to resolve those. Daredevil's back. All those characters are back. Maybe Disney just straight up buys the rights to those characters from Netflix. Maybe they fix the problems with Netflix.
They're all canon to the MCU. And if it can't be put on Netflix, it's going to be put on Hulu.
Yeah.
Hooray for everything.
So the actual show is like up to the point. It's all still canon.
Yeah.
All of it's canon. All of
Yes.
it's canon. The 5-year time skip. In that time, Fisk broke out of jail and is basically kingpin of the underworld again. But he's at war with basically new blood in the form of Tombstone.
Played by Keith David.
Keith David. Keith David as Tombstone. And basically Daredevil needs the help of basically everyone to deal with this, but in this, Elektra's back. But what's worse, Bullseye is back. I think you know what's gonna happen. I think everyone knows what's gonna happen.
Someone's
People
getting
in the
stabbed.
chat, raise your hand if you know what's gonna happen.
Raise his hand. If you've seen the original Daredevil with Ben Affleck, yeah, you know what's coming. That was based on a number of moments from the actual comic, and one of the most famous was Bullseye kills Elektra by stabbing her with her own size. But don't
Do we
worry.
really need a
Oh,
sorry.
But don't worry.
Go
This
ahead.
won't be the last we see of Elektra, because this is comic books, friends, and you can't keep anybody dead for long.
I mean, that's what happened in the show. He killed her, if I remember right, and the hand just resurrected her.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of don't
Okay.
like that plot point because they already did that. It just seems like a repeat.
Then this time they're gonna do it, and it's actually going to be worth a shit.
And yeah, so because
alright.
of that, Tombstone, he's going to be a major bad guy from here on out. Then Fisk, well, Fisk won't be dead, but he's going to be beaten, and he's going to go away for a little while.
Yeah, Fisk is gonna be beaten, but most of what's going on is New York City is in a gang war, with the two biggest players being Wilson Fisk and the boss, the man who only known by Tombstone.
Which I do, in fact, believe that brings us to the Punisher. And yes, I'll be talking about this
two
one.
aren't the only players.
Now, this does take place after the events of Punisher Season 2, which was a mixed bag, well, needless to say. This is going to be largely based off of the plot of the Punisher video game all the way back in 2005, I believe. Everyone knows that game. Everybody loves that game. We're adapting a lot of the major plot points here, except it's John Bernthal this time around. And yes, the major villain in that story will be Jigsaw. You may know in Season 2 that Jigsaw was killed. But due to some shenanigans from the snap, he was brought back from the dead.
And he made a deal with his good buddy Bullseye. He was actually the one who tried to have Bullseye wipe out Wilson Fisk.
And along the way, Matt Murdock is Frank Castle's lawyer, because you know what? We only got an interaction between Punisher and Daredevil. We never actually got to see Matt Murdock and Frank Castle really talk. And here...
Yeah, this... Basically, it starts with Punisher being caught and put on trial, and Matt is basically representing him as his lawyer. Matt actually manages to secure him a deal that he walks on one condition. In walks Nick Fury.
Yeah, if you did not
that sounds
know...
a lot like Venom on trial.
If you did not know, multiple times in the comics, this is exactly what happened. Nick Fury would get the Punisher to come work for him. And this all will lead up to a showdown with Jigsaw, who breaks into Oscorp instead of Stark Industries, and instead of stealing an Iron Man suit of armor, he steals a prototype suit that you may recognize as the Hobgoblin suit. No, this is not Green Goblin. This is not the Hobgoblin. This is just a knockoff that Norman Osborn has been working on to try and replace the Iron Man suit. He gets it, but it doesn't matter. Punisher still kills him in the end. For good this time.
Bullseye is dead for good. Jigsaw is dead for good. Bullseye is still on the run.
Yeah, in fact, you want to know what happens to Jigsaw? The same thing that happens to all of Punisher's villains. He gets thrown out a window. No, I'm not kidding. In that game, Punisher literally kills most of his villains by throwing them out a window. The Russian was thrown out a window. Ma Nucci was thrown out of a window. Ma Nucci's sons were thrown out of a window. Bullseye was thrown out of a window. He threatened to roll Wilson Fisk out of a window. You can even kill Krakow by throwing him into the fiery embers of a launching nuke. The only person that is not killed by being thrown out of a window was Jigsaw. And that's because he was thrown out of a helicopter.
So wait, did Frank that day just get... he had a break and he played Final Fight and he just had that on his brain the whole day?
Yes.
Yep.
I am not kidding you when I say somehow, some way, Punisher kills most of his villains in that game by throwing them out of something.
Usually a window.
Was Jigsaw a communist?
No, Jigsaw was a maniac.
He's basically Joker.
Oh.
You want to know how he got these
Funny if he was
scars?
a communist. That's about the helicopters.
Yeah, no, what I mean is that literally Punisher, there was a helicopter, Punisher gets in the helicopter, and he proceeds to just throw Jigsaw out of the helicopter, and he crashes into a police van.
The great thing about bringing Daredevil back into the MCU, since this brings this up, is Daredevil can be the defense lawyer of a lot of characters now. I mean, he was the defense lawyer for the Punisher in the comics as well, but he was also the defense lawyer for Eddie Brock.
Peter Parker.
Captain
I don't
America.
know why you keep forgetting Peter Parker exists.
Because A, you said you wasn't going to have his identity framed in this version, and B, I'm going off of the comics.
You could be in trouble for something else.
The point is, if you need a lawyer, Matt Murdock is your man.
He will fight for you.
Yes.
And so, that wraps up the Punisher. Let's move on to the next one. Which brings us to Heroes for Hire. Yes, this is effectively
This is
Defenders.
basically Defenders Season 2.
Yeah. The basic story is that Tombstone, he's basically taken over the criminal underworld, and he wants to eliminate the competition, which is the Defenders. And this is kind of the Warrior story, where the Defenders are kind of on the run in an Escape from New York style, with the Enforcers and Typhoid Mary hot on their asses.
Keith David, once again, will be playing Tombstone because Keith David is awesome.
And yeah, and you may have noticed this is kind of a similar setup to Nando V Movie's rewrite of Defenders. Yeah, we're going to borrow some elements from that. That's why there are 4 villains for 4 heroes. There's no hand nonsense. This is just straight up super criminals that they've got to take down.
By the end of it, Luke Cage, Power Fist, and Jessica Jones are all working together. In fact, Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, they're engaged.
Because you set that up in Jessica Jones Season 1, and you never followed up on it, so that's what we're going to do here.
Out of curiosity, is Peter going to make a cameo since
No,
he should
but-
be fighting crime?
No, but Punisher is going to aid them, especially towards the finale.
Because, hey, you're going to need some heavy firepower to take out Tombstone.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually kind of funny. The only time I can think of Tombstone as a villain is when he's fighting Spider-Man.
Nah, Tombstone's more than just a Spider-Man villain. He's actually a really good counterpart to the Kingpin. He's awesome, and I don't know why they don't use him more.
You got me.
Well, I know why, because his backstory is he, quote-unquote, wasn't black enough. See, Tombstone is an albino black man, and blacks are kind of racist.
No, I thought it was because Hammerhead is pretty cool.
I don't like Hammerhead. He's a jackass. I like Tombstone because he's fucking awesome.
Oh,
He's
man.
basically a man out for revenge. Who's that revenge against? Everyone.
Everyone who
Doesn't he
wronged
have,
him.
doesn't he have something that, personal with Robbie?
Oh yeah. We gotta introduce Robbie in the Spider-Man 2 movie, as he's basically co-producer of the Daily Bugle show, and he's actually really nice to Peter. While Jonah is just Jonah.
Hey, we all
It's
love
gonna be
Jonah.
hilarious.
That's why we love him.
You
He's
know,
he's a
yeah.
lovable jerk. He's played by J.K.
Yes.
Simmons.
Yes.
I thought he was Omni-Man. Wait, wrong universe.
Why did you make me do that? Think, Mark, think! Oh, man. Alright, so with that, I think that wraps that up pretty well. Let's move on to the next one. Which brings us to Ghost Rider.
Ooh.
Yes, this is literally all of the Ghost Riders. All of them. Sam Elliott as Carter Slade is back. Nicolas Cage
Yes.
as Johnny Blaze is back, and he is mentoring
Yes.
Robbie Reyes, who was set up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so we'll actually follow up on that. He's the one who gave him the curse. He tracks him down. And he
Shows
starts
about all 3 of them. The 4th one, Danny Ketch, is basically shown in the finale.
He will be played by the, I forget what his name is, but he is Daryl from The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm. And the villain? Blackheart.
Isn't he also one of the brothers on Boondock Saints?
Yes. You on your fucking rope,
Quick
man.
Quick question. Since this is the main MCU verse, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was revealed to take place in another multiverse because apparently Marvel is really big into the multiverse right now, if I remember right.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
Well, you also have to remember. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was also decanonized from the MCU. So that's why they did that.
Well, I don't really give a
Shit,
damn.
you
The
know.
Ghost Rider arc was good. The guy that got to play as Robbie Reyes was good. He arguably redeemed the character. And we're keeping that. We're keeping that. Johnny Blaze made him Ghost Rider, tracks him down, and him and Carter Slade, they're going to be mentoring him. And yes,
Yeah, half the series is basically going to be a flashback, which is basically going to be the Nick Cage Ghost Rider movie, but redux, as in written actually better and in a serialized format. And the other half of it is basically him mentoring Robbie Reyes, who he saved the life of, into being basically his protege in his war against the devil.
and that's right.
So Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is broad strokes, right?
Broad strokes.
Broad stroke.
And yes, there will be
Broad
a racing scene between all the Ghost Riders, because that scene in the first movie was awesome. We're replicating that thing here.
complete with Ghost Riders in the sky, but even better, the Johnny Cash version.
Now, do you want to go over the Ghost Rider forms?
Go right ahead.
Okay, so with Robbie Reyes and Nicolas Cage, you're going to have your standard Ghost Rider form. This is what you expect. For Carlin Slade, we're going to do a mix of the comic and the movie form, and his main color is going to be white.
You're still going to be able to see his skeleton. You're going to see wisps of white fire, but you're also going to see his skin in a spectral form, and you're going to see him in the actual Phantom Rider costume with the actual Phantom mask. He's going to be a mix between basically a skeleton and a ghost.
As for Danny Ketch, since in the comics he's more of an agent of heaven, just like in the comics there, his flames are going to be blue.
When he shows up in the finale.
Yeah.
And that will eventually lead into Season 2 of Ghost Rider, and yeah, this is going to be a whole lot of fun.
Oh yeah. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers.
Alright, so, moving on to the next one. Brings us to Blade. That's right. Wesley Snipes is going to be Blade. I don't give a damn what you say. He's going to be Blade because the guy that they got...
Unless he can't be.
Yeah, because the guy that they got, Mahershala Ali, he wants to make him a gay Muslim, and that is not Blade. No, that's not Blade.
Only one problem with getting Wesley Snipes.
He's old.
He is old, so...
He's... Not only that, but he's also has legal trouble.
Well,
the man evaded taxes based of him, but at the same time, that is illegal.
Yeah, but what Hollywood celebrity isn't evading taxes right now? Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is more of a...
Wesley Snipes was caught.
Well, the thing is, Kel, this is an alternate universe where Koopa gets to do basically whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And also, we have age reversing technology now.
Yes.
So if we
However, if we don't have good age reversing technology, don't worry, we have a backup.
That would be Lateef Crowder. Yes, the martial artist who did all of the fighting stunts, save for the shooting, for The Mandalorian. The shooting was done by John Wayne's nephew. So, yeah, I think he'd be a good addition to play as Blade if we can't get Wesley Snipes. Chris Christopherson is back because, well, you can't have Blade without Chris Christopherson. He was great. Director will be Rick Famuyiwa, again from The Mandalorian. He directed some of the best episodes there. And you may be wondering, why do we have Wesker from Resident Evil here? That's because he's playing as Deacon Frost.
Fictional character to play as Deacon Frost. But if they actually did an accurate portrayal of Wesker in the Resident Evil movies, get whoever played him in there.
And yeah, Wesker, he's going to be basically Deacon Frost. Deacon Frost is going to be basically Wesker because we know that would be awesome. Especially with all the stuff that he did in Resident Evil 5. That is totally some vampire stuff.
Oh yeah, that's totally scary vampire shit.
And so, yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up Blade pretty well.
You may be wondering, where's Dracula? Well, about that. If you can go to the next slide, please.
Moon Knight! That's right. The man, the myth, the meme legend, Moon Knight, will be played by Oscar Isaac. Dracula himself will
And
be
his villain will be Dracula, who owes him $20.
Christoph Waltz, the Jew Hunter, Dracula. You know it. It's going to be great. Now, what about Ethan Hawke over here? Well, he's going to be playing as Randall Spector, Mark Spector's older brother.
He's a true villain. This Dracula guy may or may not be the actual Dracula, or some guy that he's just chasing down, or maybe some drug dealer.
Mm-hmm. And it will be shot in the very psychedelic style of The Big Lebowski.
Oh yeah.
Gentlemen, do I have your permission?
And
Can we?
Will be a scene where
yes.
Moon Knight.
Do it.
Oh,
Here we go.
show this first, and then I'll say what I'll say.
One moment, gentlemen. Okay, that's the wrong one. This was supposed to be a hyperlink, but I guess that don't work very well.
Oh well.
Here we go. The shit that Moon Knight says.
I'm Moon Knight, you lunatic. Anyway, you got any shrooms? An angel? Yeah, sure, whatever. You got any ketamine? I know you're here, Dracula, you big fucking nerd. Where's my goddamn money? Be careful. I hear Moon Knight attacks with all sorts of random bullshit. Please, I got you dead to rights. Now to random bullshit! Go! Moon Knight! I'm the Silver Surfer. And your wallet and your ketamine to Earth is doomed. Fuck off, Moon Knight. I'm not falling for that one again. Why do I hear Eminem all of a sudden? Someone's hacking the system. But who? Moon Knight. Where's my goddamn money? No one here owes you money, you drunk crazy asshole. Dracula isn't even on the Avengers, so stop calling him. Wait, Dracula isn't an Avenger? Fuck. You know who I really want to fight? Brenda. Wait, the monster from Beowulf? Or the crime lord? Yes. Honestly, at this point, I don't even remember why. The guy's gotta live by a code, you know. It's over, Moon Knight. I have the high ground. Impossible. Do you even know how many drugs I'm on right now? That's not what I... Let's talk more vengeance! Damn it, Mooney. Let someone else have a turn for once. No. Punisher is my homie. Only I get to give him a goodnight kiss. Using my Marine Corps training, I can turn anything into a weapon. Even this rifle. Isn't a rifle already a weapon? Simplify, bitch! You fucking nerd. Where's the money? What are you doing? Let him get me. I didn't mean to look at those new hieroglyphics. Forget if gods can bleed. Can a god send? What the fuck are you talking about? I was holding on Spectre. Now Captain Atom is going to quantum me. Who is going to what now? What? It is impossible. It cannot be. Holy water. And the Moon Knight. That's right, bitch. Now where's my goddamn money? Don't make me come down there and waterboard you shitheel.
That is why a Moon Knight show would be amazing.
Yeah.
Now to clarify, some of it that actually is real dialogue from the comics.
Most of it is actually.
Yeah.
Just not the part with Dracula, which is why our Dracula probably won't be the real Dracula.
Actually, I think it should be the real Dracula because that way you have Dracula for further adventures, and also because it would make it even more hilarious.
The thing with Moon Knight is sometimes he's a ripoff. Sometimes he's a ripoff of Batman. Sometimes he's a mummy. Sometimes he's magic, and sometimes he's all three at the same time. But most of the time, he's just some random asshole on ketamine.
Where's my goddamn ketamine, bitch?
Okay. So,
See, the problem
here's
with
what
that. The problem with.
there needs
Sorry.
to be
Go ahead.
there needs to be a scene where Moon Knight takes Dracula, puts him in his face in the toilet, and asks where his money is.
Where's the money,
Where's the money,
Dracula?
Dracula?
Where's the money, Dracula? Where's the money, you shitheel? Blah. I think it's somewhere down there. Let me take another look. Okay.
But yeah, the real conflict will be between Mark Spector and his brother, and it's basically going to be a Cain and Abel thing, and apparently they're the reincarnation of Cain and Abel. Go figure. Moving on.
Now the reason why you probably haven't heard of Moon Knight as a meme lord is because the problem with Moon Knight is every writer does something, I kid you not, completely and totally different with him. He is never consistent.
Nope. So we're not going to be consistent. You're
Yes.
welcome, audience.
This is going to be a psychedelic wet dream full of ketamine and memes, and you are going to love it.
And then we will have a rival to Deadpool.
Yes. Alright, that brings us to the next one.
Oh, God.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Yes, this arguably should have been earlier, but now, what the hell?
What the hell?
Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Quest to Find Gamora. Adam Warlock is going to be played by Nathan Fillion. Yes, this is actually something they're doing. The Sovereign really want to murder the shit out of the Guardians, but unfortunately, the Heralds of Galactus are going to try and beat them to the punch. Oh, and also, Cosmo the Space Dog is here.
Yes. Because he is a good boy.
Gentlemen, do I have your permission? I'd like to play this little snippet.
Okay.
Now, this show sucks, but Cosmo was great. And you will see why in a second.
Back off, Spot, or I call security!
Cosmo is security. You talk. Please to forgive Cosmo for chase. Sometimes old instinct to pursue small mammal kicks in. Shake. Good humanoid.
Ugh. Oh man, talking animals give me the willies.
Technically, Cosmo not talk. Communicate telepathically.
I am Groot. How should I know why he's sniffing you? Probably another old instinct.
And that is why Cosmos must be put into this movie, because he is great, and he needs to have a rivalry with Rocket Raccoon.
Yes.
Talking animals give me the willies. That's the raccoon.
As for Adam Warlock, I mean, they set him up, and he didn't appear in this one storyline he's actually important to. So might as well, throw him against Galactus, which is the next best thing.
Yeah, plus this is Nathan Fillion. Imagine Nathan Fillion and Chris Pratt in the same room.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Alright, I think that fairly wraps that up. Let's move on to the next one. Which is Nova. Yes, that is Hayden Christensen. Yes, we're having him play as Nova. And yes, this is basically a Green Lantern movie. This will take place after
Green
the
Lantern
events.
in particular.
This will take place after the events of Endgame. We will see Thanos wrecking shit on Xandar. John C. Reilly, though, is alive, and he will be mentoring the next generation of the Nova Corps, which will include our main character, who will be played by Hayden Christensen.
Yep.
And I think that pretty much wraps that up. Unfortunately, not many of us know a great deal about Nova, but
No.
let's bring him in anyway.
Yes. Someone's gotta care about Nova because someone
understand.
didn't care about Iron Man, and then they made the Iron Man movie and it made $1 billion.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I know Cosmo is affiliated with Nova, so I guess you can use the dog more.
Yes.
Hooray for Dog.
And
He's a very good boy.
any excuse to get John C. Reilly in a movie, I will take. The man is hilarious. Alright, moving on to the next one.
Don't worry, folks. We're almost done.
We have Doctor Strange. It probably will not be called Multiverse of Madness. Basically, Baron Mordo is our main villain. He's out to get Scarlet Witch. He is secretly being manipulated by Dormammu, who wants Scarlet Witch's powers. Clea gets involved, and Doctor Strange has got to resolve all of this.
May not be his girlfriend from the first movie, awake in some reincarnation bullshit, or his girlfriend from the first movie may actually dump him. It depends on if we can get the actress back or not.
Either way, Clea is a great character. She really should have been there from the very beginning. We're going to have more shenanigans with Wong, because Wong is awesome. That being said, I still can't get over the fact that he played Kublai Khan in Marco Polo, and he was great in that.
Yep.
Plus, he's friends with Abomination.
And there is no multiverse in this multiverse of madness. Because multiverses are cringe.
DC
Well,
has
they're
been the
not
only
cringe,
one.
they're just-
Look, let's be honest here.
The problem...
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's not that multiverse is a problem, like, from the idea alone. The problem is the MCU is just doing it far too soon.
No, multiverses are cringe.
Like, DC has really been the only one to sort of
No,
pull
they're
off
not. It depends on how you
multiverses.
like to view it.
And I mean, let's be honest here, Spider-Man and the DC universe are the only ones who effectively pulled off multiverse stories really well. You want an example of why Marvel doesn't do well with multiverses? Go look at the Ultimates. We can all agree the Ultimates is dumb, cringy,
Yep.
Yes.
and just full
Yep.
of neocon shit that should not be there. They butchered my boy Captain America.
Ironically, Cap was still the only like really good thing in that.
And yeah. Alright, so that wraps it up pretty well. Like I said, there's not a lot to tell about here. It's pretty self-explanatory. And moving on. Black Panther 2. Let's just get this out of the way. You have to recast Chadwick Boseman. It's unfortunate that he died, but he's
Yeah.
dead. We need to recast
He
him.
was excellent. He was excellent in the role. He was excellent in Marvel Civil War. He was. Look, I'm gonna flat out say Marvel Civil War did the origin story better than the actual Black Panther movie did. The actual Black Panther movie is kind of disappointing. It's
Black Panther movie
not
is...
as bad as Captain Marvel, but it's not as good as Iron Man 3.
Look,
I said it.
Look, it's black supremacist Lion King ripoff with Zulu super warriors. Let's just move
Yeah.
on and try to make this a better movie. So, how are we going to
Yes.
explain this recasting? Well, T'Challa goes into the necropolis of the dead, and there he comes out as a different man. John David Washington, the son of Denzel Washington, who you may have seen from Tenet. He was excellent in that movie, and he can easily pull out the role. Bucky Barnes is back, and he's going to be the White Wolf. And unfortunately, he brings on Kraven the Hunter, who was the main villain of this movie. Why is he there? Probably because he wants to kill Black Panther and Bucky, because he's out to get the best prey.
Man.
The most dangerous game.
Turns out it's man.
And yes, that will be that is Jason Momoa. I think he could very easily play as Kraven.
Oh yeah.
And yes, this will be setting up the Sinister Six.
Yeah, he will not die. He will just go to prison. Because Marvel, stop killing off your villains.
Seriously.
Seriously.
I mean, I'm pretty sure T'Challa would try to kill Kraven.
He would, but
He's a hero, but he's also a king.
yeah, but it turns out that he's also wanted in New York, so he has to extradite him.
Or you could just have Kraven get away.
But
Yeah, Kraven could get away.
That
He could
works
show
too.
up and torment Spider-Man a bit.
Either way, though, this is going to be basically a buddy cop between Sebastian Stan and John David Washington in much the same way that we saw with him and the man who was playing Batman. I don't give a damn if he was in Twilight. I saw him before Twilight. I saw him after Twilight. I don't give a shit about Twilight. Neither should you.
Yes, you crazy old man.
Alright, that sums us up pretty well. Let's move on to Ms. Marvel. Number 1. We're recasting Brie Larson. Marvel already wants to do it. We're going to do it. She's going to be
Yes.
replaced by Catherine
Yes.
Winnick of Vikings fame, who played Lagatha, the wife of Ragnar. And we're also bringing Monica Rambeau because she was good in WandaVision. So let's bring her on in. Main villains?
Yep.
Skrulls. Lots of Skrulls. We're setting up what's coming next. And by the end of this, Captain Marvel has realized how horribly she's screwed up. She's in a Skrull prison. And we got some nasty shit on the way.
Yep. Which leads us into...
Oh.
No.
We'll get to that in... we will get to that in a second. But yes, Wolverine is coming to Marvel. And this is going to be basically an adaptation of the video game version of X-Men Origins, which everyone can admit was pretty freaking good.
Yeah, imagine X-Men's Origins Wolverine, except it's not shit. It's rated TVMA, and it's also a miniseries instead of a movie.
And no,
Also, we have the real no Baraka Deadpool, real Deadpool
No.
only.
No Baraka Pool. No, I refuse.
and who are we going to have play as Wolverine? Mr. Scott Eastwood. And yes, this is him cosplaying as Wolverine. The man loves his comics. He is the son of Clint Eastwood. I think he's got the chops. He's got the look. Cast him.
We set up Wolverine separate from the X-Men. We go over his origin story about how his mutant powers make him immortal and heal, and there's claws. We show how he gets the metal on his bones. We show basically Canada trying to do their own Captain America.
We even see him hanging
And
out with
failing.
Captain America in World War II.
And we even see a brief glimpse of him getting into a tiff with the Yakuza and one of their scariest enforcers. the
Silver Samurai.
It's great. It'll be lots of great fun. It's basically all of it. It's a flashback, and we see Wolverine basically at the prime of his life. He's still in the prime of his life. Isn't immortality through a healing factor fun, folks?
Yes, except for the fact that all his love interests just keep dying. He is a sad old man.
Yep.
Yep. And best yet, he will actually get.
find an immortal.
Best yet, he will be able to be set up without sacrificing any other character to spotlight him only.
Exactly.
Yep.
The X-Men are set
Well,
up without him, and he will be jumping in their next movie.
Yeah, but the final villain of this is for sure going to be Weapon X. But the final fight, even the Weapon X is run by basically humans who are basically using quote unquote mutants as weapons. But the final fight is going to be the blood feud. Logan versus
Sabretooth.
I forgot his civilian name.
And I would say get Liev Schreiber to play him again, because he did an excellent job, or you can get somebody
Yes.
else. I don't know. But yeah, Sabretooth. Let's do it.
What it should have been in X-Men Origins Wolverine instead of Baraka Pool. And everyone agrees with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
If you do not agree with that, please leave a comment to I don't care, you're wrong.
Well, I'll at least listen to you because would be genuinely curious why you think Baraka Pool is good.
He's only good as a meme. He's only good as a meme. And he did eventually give us Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, so there is that.
Yeah.
Well, we could have gotten that without a Baraka Pool.
Yes, we could have. Alright, that wraps up that one. And yes, we are trying to rush through this as quickly as we can. That brings us to...
Yeah, we're trying not to keep you people too long. We realized how long we went last time, and we're trying not to repeat.
So we have Silver Surfer. This is an animated movie. This is basically his origins, his lost love, Galactus turning him into a herald, and him taking on Terex.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty self-explanatory. A whole lot of good cosmic fun.
Oh yeah. Sets him up separate from the Fantastic Four, which is another mistake they made with the Fox Fantastic Four movies.
Yeah.
Alright, that is pretty self-explanatory, so moving on to Secret Invasion. Yeah, that's what we were hinting at earlier. The Skrulls are the bad guys. Everyone is a Skrull. She's a Skrull. He's a Skrull. She's a Skrull. She's a Skrull. He's
You're
not
a
a Skrull. And he's all like, I freaking told you. I freaking told
In the
you.
audience right now, you're a Skrull.
Everyone's a
You're and you
Skrull.
didn't even know it. Why didn't you tell us, you Skrull infiltrator?
They're all Skrulls.
Now the thing is, with Thaddeus Ross, we're not going to make him like just a one-note bad guy. We're going to. He will be closer to after he became Red Hulk, circa around when he was actually joined the Avengers.
Yeah, but in this universe, because Red Hulk, it's kind of too late to drop that ball. He's Iron Patriot too, and Iron Patriot is the one who released the Thunderbolts. But this is basically the the Avengers movie, this is the big crossover between all of the heroes. We find out basically the Skrulls have been infiltrating humanity since the 90s, and they've even taken over into the lives of the Marvel superheroes. His former classmate, Michelle Johnson, basically was keeping notes on him. She was a Skrull this whole time. There is no real Michelle Johnson. Valkyrie, she replaced the actual Valkyrie sometime during the years of the Snap, and basically was being the king, the Grima Wormtongue to Thor's King Theoden, which is why Thor keeps making shitty decisions.
Thaddeus Ross actually saw this infiltration with his own eyes, but no one believed him. And since no one believed him, he started going down a dark path.
Yep.
Well, darker than he already originally was.
Yeah.
He was a selfish bastard before, but now he's wholly convinced that he must be on a righteous mission to basically be the next Avenger. And anyone who stands
Sorry, go ahead.
Anyone who stands in his way has got to get run over.
Yeah, basically, this is just going to be the story of the Secret Invasion crossover event in the comics, except with Thaddeus Ross taking the place of Norman Osborn.
Do you want to mention the idea of a certain character who was killed in Endgame possibly being
Tony Stark was Tony Stark was a Skrull. The real Tony Stark was kidnapped just as when he was going to help the Avengers. He was taken in a burlap sack. He's being held in space right now. We will kidnap Robert Downey Jr. if it means getting him to be Iron Man. We were going to do it with Chris Evans, but let's have Captain America have his happy ending.
Yeah.
In some ways, I like that because that means he gets to be with his family, and we do need at least one of the core Avengers, leading the Avengers for the good of the MCU's, multiverse. Not multiverse as an actual multiverse, but, the multiple heroes and stuff.
Yeah, the
but
universe.
On the other hand, I really liked his sacrifice. I mean, it was very poignant.
He would have sacrificed himself, but that's because this was a deep cover scroll.
Let's be honest here.
I don't like it for one reason.
Go right ahead, Squasher. Tell us why. I know it's gonna be.
I don't like it in one particular reason, and one reason in particular. You have Strange there. He could have taken the Time Stone and reversed the damage.
Exactly.
Like,
I mean, how about we have that be the thing instead? Strange actually resurrected Tony, but the reason why the funeral went through is because since he was so far gone, thanks to the affinity energy and all that, it was going to take a bit, and he didn't actually know if he could fully resurrect Tony. So he didn't want to get anyone's hopes up.
Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe.
You could also
plus.
I mean, you could also have that be the one thing the Skrulls didn't know, and that would be a poignant thing since Tony actually kind of started the whole MCU.
In fact, if we bring Downey back, if we were somehow cast in charge of all of this, where he'd show up is the end of Miss Marvel movie when Carol is in the prison. Guess who's in the prison with her?
Tony Stark. Basically, Tony will be replacing Captain America in Earth's Mightiest Heroes Skrull arc when Captain America was being held by a Skrull prison, and he led a prison break.
Yep.
This time, it's Tony Stark. I mean, this is a man who made a suit out of armor from a box of scraps!
This is where he gets his symbiote armor.
In a cave! With a box of straps! I'm not Tony Stark. No.
No, you're not.
And this is where the plan, their invasion kind of unravels because Skrull Tony, goes, "Hey guys, I'm back," and they're like, "You're dead."
What?
Oh shit!
Get him!
Yeah, that horribly backfired. So, yeah, by the end of this, the Skrulls have been defeated, but the world is left so badly shaken that it leads to the Thunderbolts.
See, Ross tries to form his own successors to the Avengers. However, they basically just end up being a bunch of Black Ops agents. Most of them are ex-criminals.
And who are they going after? They're going after Madam Hydra and the Hydra remnant that has basically been rebuilding itself this entire time. It's taking advantage of the Skrull situation, and now the Thunderbolts have got to hunt them down. Then they got to kill them. They got to kill them all.
Yep.
Also,
Remember how in the Marvel What If they
said-
set up Baron Zemo still being alive in the form of an AI? He's the one pulling the strings behind all of it.
Also, remember when we said Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is broad strokes? We are not including the cult Hydra nonsense.
Look,
That
let's
doesn't
be honest
exist.
here.
That is nonsense.
You guys just ripped that off from Cobra, from G.I. Joe, and freaking Serpentor. It's literally the same thing. Which is ironic because G.I. Joe and Cobra were based on S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra, so I guess it came full circle. It didn't work in G.I. Joe, it didn't work in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it will never work. Stop it.
Well, that's what we have for What If Marvel MCU Phase 4 was actually good. We have about 10 minutes. So do you guys all have closing thoughts?
This was fun. This was
Yeah,
fun.
this was fun. We need to do this more
Yes.
often.
Yes.
We should wait till that
Not really,
that
I
Netflix Lord of the Rings series comes out and complain about that next.
Yeah, probably.
I
that
probably won't
sounds
join
like
you on
my
that
thing.
one.
That sounds like that I would have the most to say on that one because you guys
I
know
think
my.
I think I know
love of
someone
Lord of the
who
Rings.
would have quite a few things to say if Swords doesn't want to show up.
Who's that?
I don't want to spoil it.
Gee, thanks. Thanks a lot.
Don't want to spoil it to the audience and to whoever this is who is watching because I haven't asked them yet.
Fair enough. So, yeah, that is basically how we would do the Phase 4. It would be fun, it'd be funny, it'd be intense, it'd be dramatic, it'd be a lot better than the crap we have nowadays, and hopefully, DC manages to get their shit together and actually make some really good movies.
And prove Razor Fist wrong once and for all.
Also, John Cena, Taiwan is a country!
We
You
just got
commie
taken off
simping
YouTube.
bastard!
We just got taken off YouTube twice.
No, we didn't. Ignore him. Going through these plans with you, I do like your plans for the most part. The only one that I don't really like was WandaVision, but that's because I really liked the original WandaVision.
That's because you're wrong.
Look, to be fair, I
I
liked
I
WandaVision
have no
too,
opinion.
but I think this will produce a better story overall. It's literally a descent into hell, and we get to introduce Mephisto properly, which is what people wanted from the very beginning. To quote James Bond in Tomorrow Never Dies, "You forgot the first rule of mass media, Kava. Give the people what they want!" And my voice broke.
Ouch.
Ow. You can tell I've been
Give the
talking
people
for
what they want.
You can tell I've been talking for 2 hours.
Yep.
It was a fun 2 hours, though, and at least we're not going for 11 hours and making jokes about self-referential memes and that nobody will get, suffering through 11 hours of nonsense. I wonder who I'm referencing.
Ugh.
It's only good here on long drives.
Audience, if we ever
Yeah,
make a stream that's longer than 2.5 hours, please come to all of our houses and kill us.
You try and do that,
Speak for
I will kill you
yourself.
first. I've got an
Speak for
arsenal,
yourself.
and I am absolutely willing to unleash it on you. Of
He's
course.
a Navy SEAL sniper, and he's got training in this and that. I forgot the meme.
The best version of that
No,
one is from
I
John
was
F.
gonna
Kennedy.
say, don't do that. Don't do that. If we have something that's worth talking about for 2.5 hours, we have something that's worth talking about for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So,
I guess
And if
what we
people
can
wanna
do
listen to
for
us,
the.
then-
Sorry. Go ahead, Gil.
No, I'm done. Go ahead. If people
I
want to
guess-
listen, they'll listen. Go ahead.
I guess for the final 5 minutes, I think, for a
Yeah.
bonus round, could you move to the timeline slide, please?
Yes, I can.
I guess what I would do is, let's see, for Venom, I would move Venom 2 close to around the Secret Invasion, since Matt Gargan's Venom did have, a role to play in that where he fought the Skrulls.
Mhm.
So we could actually just sub him out for Eddie Brock if you
Yep.
want.
Eddie's eating squirrels. They taste
Only-
delicious.
Only, I mean, he did promise the symbiote he could eat bad guys now.
Yes, and it's a vegetarian meal.
So also the only difference to Venom 2 I would make is, sorry if you haven't seen Venom 2, but they killed off Carnage and Shriek.
Stupid. I don't want to see the movie
Why
now.
would you kill off Carnage? Why would you
I mean,
kill
it's a
off
re-
Carnage?
I actually think it's a good movie. It is a really good movie. It just has the same problem as all superhero movies where they kill off their villains.
Yes.
You
Instead,
made me not want to see this. I was actually going to see this. Now I'm not.
well, to be fair, Carnage in the comics actually survived worse, so he could actually be brought back alive
Yeah.
if they want to go that angle
Good.
with a fake
Fine.
out.
Fine. Confirm that Carnage comes back, and then I'll go back and watch Venom 2. Is that a good deal for you?
I guess so.
I guess. Now, and I would also later set up like pieces throughout these movies for maximum carnage. I mean, the Hobgoblin type suit could be a reference again eventually for Demogoblin.
That's what I was going for.
So,
Oh, I have an idea for how Venom could get the spider insignia on his thing. During the Secret Invasion, Peter gets injured, and Venom, Eddie allows Venom to heal him by, bonding
Yeah.
to him for a little while, and that's how that happens.
Yeah, I would
on
like
top
that.
of that, he also gets all Spider-Man's powers from that.
mm.
But
And
that's the
yeah,
downside.
so-
If he ever gets on Eddie's nerves, Spider can no longer Spider sense him.
I know.
Why do I
I
hear
know
Eminem
people really
all of a
like-
sudden?
I know that I really don't really get the N and M. I mean, if anything, if you read the comics, Venom comics have a lot of references to standard, classic rock, like Leonard Skinner, Freebird, and all that.
Mm.
Anyways, I know people like the Venom and Spider-Man fight, but it's been overdone to death. I mean,
they'll probably
we-
fight in Secret Invasion when they think each other is a Skrull until they figure
Yeah.
out they're not Skrulls.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Prove that you're not a Skrull.
yeah, let's do that. I mean, we need to get out of the 80s. Okay?
Alright.
Yeah. All right.
You got the
We
Tobin
need to get out
fight,
of the
so there we
90s.
go. We're out of the 80s.
There you go. All right. So with that, I think that wraps it up.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Say goodbye, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Good night.
audience.
And until next time, have a nice day.